guys, and welcome to another creepy stories in a tent on a stormy night. Here I am, sitting in a tent in the middle of Wales with the rain pouring down, and I'm here to tell you a creepy story. And what makes this creepy story even worse is that it's true, because this did actually happen. So what happened was, back in the 70s, you could buy all these different types of paintings that you had in a house. You had one painting of a woman that almost looked green. This beautiful woman anyway that stood there, and like most people had that hanging in their living rooms. There was also another one of a young girl that was crying, and a dog was stood next to her. I never really interpreted it, or knew exactly what it was about, whether the dog had done something that had upset the girl and was feeling, sorry for her and everything, or whatever. I'm not sure what it was, but that was another one that a lot of people had. But this particular painting was called The Crying Boy. And the crying boy hung up again in a lot of people's houses in the 70s in the UK. But what had happened is someone had this painting hanging up in their living room. And that night there was a terrible fire. The whole house burnt down. Luckily enough, the family escaped. It was a man and a woman with 2 children, and I think this was in Barking or somewhere. Anyway, it came into the paper because of one little thing. Everything had burned except the painting of this crying boy was still intact. About a month later, there was another incident, and it was a family of 5 this time. It was a man and a woman, and they had 3 children, and the house had caught fire. The fire had gone all the way through the living room and up the stairs, so they couldn't get out. Luckily, the fire brigade got there, and what they did in order to escape the fire is the firefighters put a ladder at one of the children's windows. One of the bedrooms had 2 bunk beds, and there was 2 girls that shared it. There were 2 girls and a little boy. So everyone went into this room whilst the fire was starting to blaze up the stairs, and all managed to get out safely, thank goodness, and they was fine. The house, however, everything inside had burned except for the crying boy painting. Where this had happened twice now, it started to become a regular thing in the newspapers. The newspapers were reporting these stories, and in every situation, the crying boy painting was always left intact. Now, this happened about several times, and it was always in the papers because this crying boy painting who was probably about the same age as me. We must have been about 8 years old, maybe a bit less. Yeah, because this must have happened about 1976, 77, so I was probably about 7 years old, 8 years old, something like that. And my sister would play with their daughter as well, so we all knew each other. You know, my dad was friends with the father, and my mum was friends with the mother. And they had in their living room the painting of this crying boy. They had it for several months and everything was absolutely fine. But then this one particular day we heard a commotion. What had happened was their house had actually caught fire. Their house was on fire. And I remember hearing screaming and, you know, all this sort of panic. Anyway, my dad actually ran out and ran to the house, and everybody was like trying to help. Anyway, someone managed to get the daughter and the son out. I can't remember if it was their dad, but the mum got out, the daughter got out. The dog, I think while he was trying to save his daughter or son, whoever he was getting at the time, my dad ran in because they had a dog as well, and the dog was burning. So my dad grabbed the dog, went in, grabbed the dog and ran out with him, and the dad brought the son and the daughter out. So everyone was fine. The house was was ablaze, but my dad had got the dog. The dog had like a burn on his back, but the dog ended up being fine. Eventually the fire engine came and they put the fire out. But once again, after they went back in there, they had, everything was burned, but the painting of the crying boy was still there on the wall, completely intact. And I remember all of us saying, that was that blooming painting, that was, because that's all you had in the papers at the time, was this crying boy picture surviving all these house fires while everything else perished. Luckily though, I think as far as I remember, everybody got out fine. I mean, on that occasion, as I said, my dad rescued the dog, and the dog had like burns on its back, at the bottom of its back, but it ended up being okay. It was fine. But yeah, a very, very creepy thing. There is a documentary about it somewhere, but I can't seem to find it anymore, which is a shame, because they used to have these people go and investigate all these different things, and one of them was the crying boy painting. Yeah, it used to be on YouTube, but I don't see it very much now. I've tried to look, but it's very, very difficult to find. But if you can find that, that's very, very interesting. Guys, it's actually what's made this one really cool as well, is that it's actually pouring down with rain outside as well. I really am in the rain. I hope you enjoyed that one. As I said, very creepy, even more creepy because that did actually happen. Yeah, my neighbour's house did burn down, and they did have that painting, and it was still intact. I remember them bringing it all out after. All the stuff, all the furniture, everything was all burned, except that painting was perfect. But yeah, I'm so glad to see you all, guys. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday evening. It's Sunday today. A rainy Sunday, unfortunately, but you know, I will leave you with this storm and the thunder and the rain. Try not to have nightmares.